What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet and Violet video, and today we're going to be looking at Thundurus-Therian and just where exactly can we use it right now in the Regulation D meta. So this was another tier 3 sub request to the channel from a viewer from about a week ago, and we created a team, and it was actually, it required a little bit of testing, but we figured out, the formula where we could really utilize Thundurus-Therian. At first I was like, this is one of the tougher of the genies to use just because it's not as obvious and as brain dead as to use as some of the other ones, right? But with some good team composition, it did have a place on a rain team, right? And that rain team, of course, consisted of the core with Pelipper and Basculegion, believe it or not. Okay, and this actually had some results already, prior to the team building session that we had with the viewer. So I figured, you know what, let's not change the formula and let's still build around this core, okay? And basically the whole idea was this: like, if you imagine like Pelipper and Basculegion, right? This is your rain mode to the team. This is your fast mode. They're both weak to electric type attacks. So stuff like, Iron Hands could really do something against these two, right? But then you slap on Thundurus, and then all of a sudden Volt Absorb becomes an interesting pivot option against some of those electric type attacks. And then at the same time, if you just imagine like Basculegion and Thundurus, they have like relatively good synergy with each other, just because like, Thundurus being weak to like, ice type attacks, you can switch in a Basculegion, for example, then kind of resist that a little bit. And then at the same time, again, we consider Basculegion being weak to electric type attacks as well as Pelipper. Then the Thundurus becomes a decent switch into that as well, with the Volt Absorb, right? And then, of course, Electric Flying is always like really good typing. Just imagine Zapdos, right? With Electric Flying being, just weak to Steel and Rock. And then from there, you can just like kind of, use your Terrestrialization to help fight that a little bit. But this was the core. And then you usually slap on an Amoongus onto stuff like this. A Grass type is always welcome on a rain team. And this gives you like a bit of a defensive backbone. It gives you the Cleric to the team, with like Pollen Puff. You get redirection support with Rage Powder. And of course you get Spore Pressure, in the Trick Room games. So, Amoongus, really balances out, this, aggressive kind of duo, right? Thundurus and Basculegion. Pelipper is more of a support option. It can do a little bit of damage, right? But, 95 base special attack is not really anything that's going to scare people, that much. But this is the start of the rain team, okay? At least, to try and utilize Thundurus-Therian, right? And I've seen some various sets here with like Assault Vest where you're just going to be like super bulky and, using Snarl, which is very good in certain games, right? If you want to like cripple Fluttermanes and Chiyus and other kinds of special attackers, Snarl can be very punishing. Like, just imagine like bulky Arcanine Snarls. Like, it's actually quite good. Okay, so we wanted to like really bring that over here, and then from here you can also consider like a Choice Specs variant, right, where you're still using the two standard moves, right? Wildbolt Storm, Volt Switch, right? I feel like these are always going to be like your two mainstay moves, like whether you're Specs or Assault Vest. And then you go for something like Terra Blast over here, and then something like what was like another good move that Thundurus Choice Specs users were doing. I believe it was something like Grass Knot. Yeah, it was Grass Knot, right? And I always liked Grass Knot in Thundurus-Therian, even back in like Sword and Shield. Max Overgrowth was a really good move against certain things, right? This actually helps you snipe stuff like Ursaluna, for that matter. Choice Specs, Thundurus actually hurts a lot. And then, at the same time, it gives you a matchup into some of the other bulky water types that maybe you have a little bit of trouble removing in general, right? So this would be like a Specs variant, right? But in the end, we decided, okay, let's just go with the Assault Vest. Let's go with Snarl. Let's be a bulky yet somewhat aggressive Pokemon here. And then at the end of the day, let's just slap on like the Terra Blast over here. And then we went with Terra Water just so that we could utilize the rain damage a little bit, right? It's boosted in the rain. So yeah, that's what we ended up doing. And then this backbone here, you can really, these are like your flexible slots, but I feel like in the end we just went with Dragonite and Chien-Pao, right? Just a very standard, easy core to use. Like, we weren't trying to like reinvent the meta or anything like that. We wanted to stay true to what was already standard and consistent you know, up until this point in regulation. And, you know, Dragonite Chien-Pao can win you a lot of games just by themselves, right? You know, just spam the priority moves. You know, you are going to be choice banded here, of course. And then, you know, that alone can do you a lot, especially with like Pelipper, Basculegion in the back. You know, sometimes Thunders can't really come to certain games. It's very matchup specific. But even if it doesn't come, like Pelipper, Basculegion, Dragonite Chien-Pao can carry a lot of your games. Even Amoongus can come to some of those matchups, right? Especially in the Trick Room games. So like in essence, these 5 were like fine. And then over here is just like more of a like, you know, a matchup specific slot. But this ended up working relatively well in terms of testing. So we figured, oh, okay, let's just you know, release this. So then from here, now what we're gonna do is just round out the EV spreads and the move sets and the items, and then just show you a couple practice games from the client that was nice enough to share some with us, and then we'll get you guys out of here with this Pokepaste. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, so then from here, now we'll just go into the Basculegion here. So this is going to be a Life Orb user, right? And by the way, you have the option to like go for adaptability or Swift Swim, but I feel like Swift Swim is just really good, you know, just in terms of like the amount of speed control you can get. You're doubling your speed. You know, this is going to be getting Tailwind over here. So, you know, Basculegion pretty much just outspeeds the entire format. And then because of that, it allows you to go Adamant here, because like this 112 attack stat, you know, it's not like super great. It's okay, right? It's at least triple digits. It'll do like some decent damage, but you know, you need a little bit more, even with the Life Orb, right? So this is why we decided to go like Adamant here, which is great, right? Because, you know, we don't have to max out our speed usually, but you know, at the end of the day, we actually did end up doing that, right? Just because like, oh my god, 78 is not that great. So like, yeah, Kingdra, we miss you. I just want to say that, Kingdra, we miss you. But if you do decide to go with adaptability, right, and then rely on Pelipper's Tailwind for like extra speed control, then you know that totally works as well. But we went with Swift Swim in this particular build. Anyway, so the standard set, again, it's just going to be like, of course, your Wave Crash and Last Respects. You know, your 2-stab moves. Last Respects is really good in the end game because you're getting stronger. You know, base power, you know, for every party member that faints. So it's good to bring into the back in certain matchups. And then from here, you can just go with like Aqua Jet and Protect, you know, just to be like a relatively standard and consistent set. The Pelipper here, so we went with Hurricane and Wide Guard, okay, as our standard 3-setter. And then at the end of the day, like you have the option to go with Hydro Pump here, which I think is like totally fine. And this was like Damp Rock. But, you know, we didn't like missing. So in the end, you know what? We don't really need Pelipper to like click Hydro Pumps all that often. We have Basculegion. We've got Thundurus over here, you know, with Terra Blast. So like, let's just go Protect here. And, you know, this is also pretty good in certain matchups. Like it helps you like position properly as well. So we just ended up going with Protect and saying, you know, we're not going to go with the 50% accuracy move in Hydro Pump, right? So we just went with Protect there. But if you want Hydro Pump, feel free to make the change and do it. But yeah, we ended up going with Protect. This one also Protect here, you know, very standard set. We went with the Rocky Helmet, of course, and this is Regenerator. All right, of course, you know, really good chip damage against like the opposing Dragonite, Chien-Pao, Urshifus that are running around. So, you know, of course. Then the Dragonite, you know, we just went with Extreme Speed, we went with Aerial Ace, we went with Stopping Tantrum. You know, this was always like going to be a mainstay. This last slot was a flex slot. You can simply just go Outrage here, you know, just for, you know, more good damage, right? Sometimes you can't really, of course, you know, control where it lands, but Outrage is a really good solid move. But in the end, we wanted something else to like try and snipe Fluttermanes. So we just put Iron Head here. So it's also a relatively safe move, and most times you're clicking this move anyway, so yeah. Then over here, Chien-Pao, this is just a standard Focus Sash set. This one was just, of course, Ice Spinner, that's Ice Fang, Ice Spinner, right, Sucker Punch, Sacred Sword, of course, to use against annoying Goodras for that matter, and then of course Protect. Now, if you want to be one of those Chien-Paos that uses Ice Shard, alright, to snipe other genies, especially like landers, feel free to add it in, but we felt like this was good enough as it was at the current time that we built the team. Alright, so then in terms of like terrestrialization, so we went with, for Basculegion, we just went with Terra Steel. Again, just to be able to have, dodge those, where is it, right here, just a good defensive Terra against, sometimes the weaknesses to grass, and as well as electric, and then even dark as well. Steel was always going to be a good Terra here, especially in the rain, reducing fire damage. So this way you're only weak to ground, but then, if you look at this, we have 1, 2, 3, we have 3 flying types. So yeah. The pelipper here, again, we also went Terra Steel for the same exact reason. The Amoongus, we kept it as Terra Water, of course, just a good against like the flare blitzes from the Arcanines running around, of course. But in general, water is just always a very, very good defensive typing. The Dragonite, we just kept it as Terra Normal. We don't have Terra Blast here, and then the Chien-Pao was just Terra Ghost, right? Just to dodge other E-speeds, other fake outs, keep the stash there. So, overall, this is what we decided with as far as like, getting the team going. All right, so that was the movesets, the items, and the Terra. So now we'll just go ahead and round out our EVs. All right, so we just want it to be like a relatively bulky Thundurus that can still deal a little bit of damage. So, but in the end, we still went with like Timid Nature, Max Speed, and this is important because this gets you to 168 stat. Like, the fact that this is 101 is important because this allows you to outspeed base 100s, right? Like an opposing Chi-Yu, an opposing Zapdos for that matter, that wants to go max speed. Although they're never going to be max speed in this kind of format. They're always going to be bulky, but at least outspeeding Chi-Yu was, an important goal for us because Basculegion doesn't want to deal with Chi-Yu either. So, yeah. By the way, I just want to mention, just watch out for like Iron Bundle games because like Iron Bundle... freeze dry kind of goes ham against a lot of this stuff. So this is why terrestrialization is important. But this was still like a very common core. Like you still had these 4 on a lot of other Thundurus Basculegion teams, right? And then you just had like ways to deal around it. But you have a lot of special attacking pressure, and you should be able to handle the Iron Bundle relatively fine, especially with like Chien-Pao for that matter. But anyway, we went with max speed Thundurus. And then we just wanted to have an even number in this special defensive bulk, so we just put it to 102. I put a little bit of an HP investment. I got it to 175, that traditional VGC mark to optimize against the Tyrannotars, which are coming up a little bit, sand chip damage, and then from there a point in defense, and then we just added a little bit of special attack. 145 special attack is a lot. If you want to go modest on this Thundurus, you can definitely do that, but I feel like just being faster on like a rain team is important, right? So it might seem like this is not doing a whole lot of damage, but in the end it was actually pretty good in terms of what we wanted it to do, right? We just wanted it to be bulky, click the occasional Snarls and the Wildbolt Storms, which actually does a lot of damage, by the way, all things considered, and then from there, just like it's really strong in the rain, right? Basculegion, again, we just optimized for Life Orb chip damage. And we still went with like, again, just 1 point in the bulks, and then just went like this with the attack stat, which is really important because the fact that this hits the bump and perfectly optimizes with the Life Orb was really good. So this is just a really hard hitting Basculegion that's pretty much almost max. The pelipper here, so the main thing that we decided with the pelipper was we really wanted to live the Dragonite E-speed shenanigans, with Chien-Pao in the field. So the calc for that was max HP, and we went with 84 defense like this, and this is what we needed. Then from there, after that, then we invested in our special attacking stat, which is normally what we don't want to do. We usually do like the opposite, where we would do like the speed tier first, right, and then just go from there in terms of some certain damage costs. But it was really imperative that we wanted to survive that, so this is the calc for that. And then from there, we just went with the first bump. Again, like I said, the first bump in the Adamant Nature. So again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, I ask this in every single video. There's always someone that asks, right? But again, comment in the video description below if you don't, in the comment section, if you don't know what EV bumps are. If you're trying to play competitive Pokemon and this is the beginnings of it, you really want to know what these are. It's good foundation, good basics, good fundamentals. Ask away. But yeah, other than that, this is it. We go to 36 modest, then just a little bit of speed. This is already going to outspeed like Fluttermanes and Tailwind anyway, so it's just a matter of speed creeping. So just a little bit of speed, and then we just dump the rest in special defense like this because You know, we just want this to be a very bulky bird, which it already is, and just stay on the field. You know, click the occasional hurricanes and wide guards. Wide guard's really good right now, of course, just because of, you know, just all the genie spam running around with Bleak Wind Storm, Dazzling Gleam, you know, from Fluttermane, Heat Waves, from other shenanigans, Fiery Wrath from Moltres. Like, wide guard is a very, very strong move right now. And then here with the Amoongus, you could go Sassy, you could go Relax. Either way, I went Relax Nature, and I went to 236. Of course, this is to optimize against, you know, Regenerator Recovery. This will give you a perfect 73 recovery. Then we just, of course, went 0 speed here. We hit the second EV bump here in the defense, right? And then the leftover becomes into special defense. A very, very bulky mushroom, just meant to support the team. It's a cleric, right? Clerics are usually bulky in, you know, whatever game you play. And then, of course, the Dragonite here. You know, just, of course, Adamant 252 here. You know, just be the Dragonite that we want it to be, right? A little bit of speed here, right? 108, you know, just for speed creeping. Of course, you know, because a lot of Dragonites still go for something like this. You know, they'll go to 107, 109. And then some of them will even go to 112 because, again, after +1, you outspeed base 100s. But, you know, just to speed creep them all, we just go to about 114. You know, we break our optimization rule in our HP investment, but really, you know, it's all about this Adamant 252 attack stat, you know, from Dragonite. And if anything, you can even just go max speed and just say, you know what, I'm gonna define the meta and just do this. All right, you could just do that, right? But all in all, I feel like Dragonite just wanted a little bit of bulk there. And Inner Focus is really good, by the way, in this kind of format. Chien-Pao, you know, the easiest one, of course. Jolly Nature, straight up 252 spread. Nothing else you really, really wanted to do. But this was it. This was the starting build that we decided with Thundurus and Basculegion. You know, good, consistent options, of course, with Dragonite Chien-Pao. You already know what you're getting with Amoongus, of course. Pelipper Basculegion is already a proven duo. It's just like, again, the Thundurus, you know, being, you know, good into certain matchups, maybe not always a good bring, but if you had to utilize it, and if it was your favorite genie, which is the case for the viewer, then this was it, right? This is the ideal team, and it has some success already. If you look at, you know, certain teams that have won certain tours already, this was already like a proven core with like Thundurus, Basculegion, Pelipper, Amoongus. Your last two slots were like kind of like flex options, but I feel like it was really, really good in terms of, you know, in the testing that we did. So, you know, hence the idea here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to showcase some of the battles that our tier 3 subscriber had, and, you know, just talk about them and then just get you guys out of here with some final thoughts. Okay, so this is a Trick Room game, right? This actually looks like our Trick Room team that we released as a rental, but they swapped out the Indeedee for Cresselia. I think that's a mistake. You really want Psychic Terrain and Redirection. You know, it really helps against a lot of the priority moves running around. And you'll see why that was a mistake here, because our viewer was able to just punish them with priority moves just in general, right? So ideally, you know, Trick Room doesn't really matter necessarily here because we have the Chien-Pao here, but it's Cresselia, Glastrier to lead. We have Chien-Pao, and here is Dragonite here. So the idea, of course, is if there was Indeedee, right, you would just click Ice Spinner, remove the terrain, and then Dragonite just free to click E-Speed, you know, until the cows come home. But, you know, the Glacier is putting pressure on the Dragonite here, of course, because it's 4 times weak to Ice. But again, you have the ability to Terrestrialize. But if the Cresselia has good EVs, all you really need to do is just deny the Trick Room. So if the Crest had good EVs, you would EV it to survive the double up, right? And the viewer was testing that. So here's the double up here into Cresselia. Here's the extreme speed, and here is the Ice Spinner, and it did live, right? So that's good EVs on our opponent, right? So, you know, shout outs to them for doing that. And then here's the Icicle Crash, of course, you know, not going to do it. There's the Trick Room, but again, doesn't matter because now you can just click E-Speed, you can click Sucker Punch. The Glacier was under too much pressure, wasn't able to sweep, right? This is why you need, you know, the Psychic Terrain. But, and here's the Cresselia clicking Lunar Blessing, that doesn't matter, of course. Here's the Hatterene, again, doesn't matter. Click E-Speed there, goodbye Cresselia, and Dazzling Gleam will be able to knock out the Dragonite, but again, because we have the Sash, this is just free Ice Spinner damage into the Hatterene. Here comes Iron Hands. We have the Pelipper here. So, you know, Pelipper actually looks really good at it right now. And again, the Trick Room is not going to really matter here because we have all this priority pressure. He could go for the Fake Out here, but Double Protect is always safe here. And the Iron Hands actually didn't even go for Fake Out here, which is to my surprise. But again, now we just go for wide guard. We saw the sucker punch there. I mean the dazzling gleam there. But you know, good read on our opponent. But ideally, it didn't really matter in the end because now we just have Basculegion to clean up with Wave Crash. And that's pretty much all she wrote there for our opponent, right? So again, now you understand why like Indeedee is important on some of those Trick Room teams because look how many times our viewer clicked priority moves in Trick Room, right? And that's pretty much how you're able to beat them. So yeah. Okay, so this is another Trick Room team. Again, there's Hatterene, there's Glacier, and now this person has the Indeedee, right? So this is better team building. Okay, there is Torkoal, of course, makes a lot of sense. Indeedee, Hatterene, Torkoal, Glacier is very, very good. Then you have Bronzong and Ursaluna. That's an interesting one. I don't think you need like both Ursaluna and Glacier on the same team. I feel like you can get a little bit more of a flex option there, but hey, it makes sense. I would personally just add like like you saw in the first build with the opponent with the Lilligant. So at least this way you get a fast mode here, but this is like fully committed to like hard Trick Room, right? So because he has the Indeedee, Thundurus and Chien-Pao looks interesting here. Because again, you're able to remove terrain, and what you're able to do is go for that Snarl if they did lead the Indeedee Hatterene, right? So, but it's good Indeedee Bronzong, but that's okay. All right. So Psychic Surge comes out. There's the special defense. There's the Follow Me, but here's the Ice Spinner. Goodbye terrain. All right. Here's the Volt Switch. Good crit there, but again, the idea was to get into the Amoongus if they did click Trick Room, and there is the Trick Room, right? And here's the Torkoal. So this is really good because now the Amoongus can be the slowest thing in Trick Room. There is a Torkoal here, but this is why we have Terra Water. But our opponent, understood our coaching when it came to Sun teams, right? And what did they do? So here comes the Glacier, but here comes the Pelipper. Change the weather against the Torkoal. You don't need to terrestrialize just yet, because look how weak that eruption is in the rain, right? Amoongus is able to survive. We get the Spore, and now the Torkoal can't do any damage in Trick Room. There is a Glacier, but we do have Terra Water here, so there's the Icicle Crash. Good choice there by our viewer. And he does get the flinch, which is unfortunate, but this is free damage against the Torkoal. So later on, it can't do big damage with the eruption, so that's taking away one of its tools. Okay, so of course we were going for the sleep on the Glacier, but we did get a flinch there, so unfortunate, but still okay. All right, we do get confusion there, so that's good. Back into Bronzong, we protect the Amoongus. We don't want to die just yet, and this one actually has Crunch, which is a very, very good play by our opponent to just click the protect there, not risk the KO into the Glacier, because really what it comes down to now is just stalling out these last couple turns of Trick Room and just trying to get some damage with the Pelipper here, which we do. So a little bit of chip there. We do get confusion. That's really, really good. But we are able to spore the Bronzong slot, which is great now. And the Glacier just does hit itself in confusion. So good job there by the Pelipper. This is more chip damage now. And here comes Torkoal. But now, of course, we are able to get off the sleep because, now we are faster outside of the Trick Room, right? So that's really, really good here. So now everything is asleep. This is the advantage of using Amoongus in Trick Room. And, our opponent is not going for the Terra Grass option, which I feel like is a mistake because you can easily counter this by just going with Terra Grass Glacier, which is what we had. But because they don't have it, this is really, really good for us. And, they can't really do anything, except click the forfeit button because, everything is just asleep. It's just going to die to Pelipper, if anything. All right, so yeah. All right, one more game here. So this one was against a Tailwind team, so enough of the Trick Room stuff, but there's still a Glacier here for some reason. I guess something to bring in some Trick Room games, right, just to try being aggressive here, but I think that's a mistake. I feel like you just go like a supportive core with Amoongus, so this way you get like a good Fire Water Grass core at the very least. But again, there's Tornadus, here's Iron Bundle, very aggressive lead. Here's Dragonite and Chien-Pao, of course. So, Iron Bundle looks like it could be threatening, but again, they're predicting the E-speed there, so I respect the read, but the bundle is not the threat. The threat is this, okay? Because this is the one with the speed control, and we want to get rid of that. So our opponent didn't take that into account, and there is the excellent free KO onto the Tornadus turn 1. You can't ask for a better turn 1 than that. Here's Fluttermane Chi-Yu now. So, there could be Terra Ghost on this Chi-Yu. This is already a Ghost type to dodge the E-speed, but Chien-Pao is still on the field with a Sash, right? Just keep that in mind. So we goes into Pelipper. I don't know about that switch, but again, that's still okay. Here's the Iron Bundle switch, really, really good there. And there's the Chi-Yu. Okay, so probably wanting to take away the Fluttermane's damage source, of course, but this is a good terrestrialize this is a good Terra from our opponent. All right, and now this is Willow. Oh, it's a support Chia with Willows. That's crippling, but it's not game changing. We just have to protect the pelipper. Just get a little bit chip on this bundle, of course. Hydro Pump does connect, so down goes the Dragonite. You know, that's okay. But now we go into Basculegion, right? And now Basculegion has good pressure against both of these mons here, especially now that it has a little bit of a stronger last respect. So we have all the speed control on our side. So good protect there, trying to dodge the freeze dry at least. But really what it comes down to is just trying to get rid of this bundle. And now this Chiyu just doesn't have anything left here. Again, there's protect here, but really it's the Fluttermane that's threatening, not really the Chiyu. Chiyu doesn't really threaten in the rain here. Like it can click Dark Pulse, but at the end of the day, we have options in the back. You know, it's not just Basculegion and Pelipper here, but this is really good reading from our opponent. It was okay, helmet there. But this is pretty much all she wrote here. They can't really do much. But again, Basculegion in the rain, really strong for that matter. All right, folks, so one more time, there is the Pokepaste for our squad right now with our Thundurus-Therian Rain team. And overall, you know, it's a really solid team. Basculegion, Dragonite Chien-Pao is very good, as well as Pelipper, right? Amoongus is good into the Trick Room games, as you saw, and then Thundurus can still do Thundurus things in very specific matchups, like we said. But it has a use, again, you have the flexibility to go with choice specs for a more aggressive build, but I wanted to, you know, at least suggest a more supportive defensive build with Snarl and Volt Switch, you know, for pivoting potential, right? I feel like pivoting is really good anytime you have like a weather team, so this way you can get your weather in and out, as well as get your sweepers in and out. So for that matter, I went with the Thundurus bulky variant here, but you know, feel free to make a change to choice specs. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty solid team. It'll do the job that it needs to do. But yeah, I was just glad that we were able to fulfill our subscribers' requests. And again, if this is something you're interested in, if you are trying to build a team for Regulation D and you need some help, feel free to sign up on the channel with the tier 3 sub. It's just $10, you know, very affordable, and we'll get you that team that you need. We'll build a team from scratch like this, showing all of our EVs. We'll, you know, talk about certain matchups and whatnot, and then, you know, do a couple practice games like the viewer did, you know, just to try it out a little bit. And then from there, you know, hopefully we can get you that squad that you need for an upcoming tournament that you have, if that is something that, you know, you have planned coming up, right? But again, look in the video description, you know, join the channel, you know, click the link, or in the comment section there is a pinned comment with the link to join the channel with the tier 3 sub, or every single video has a join button where you can, again, for the same exact reason, join the channel for, you know, team building with me. All right, but that'll be it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out. Have a good night.